A 28 location deck gets day 2 at the DLC, and is this objectively the sickest playmat ever created? All that and so much more in this week's Lorcana Alert! The DLC Seattle was this last weekend, and once again, Emerald Steel does Emerald Steel things. There are so many great things to talk about the DLC, and all the links will be in the description of this video. At the Disney Lorcana Challenge, they had artists this time that you could sign up to do a meet and greet with. I got to meet Brian, the artist of Flounder, and he signed a Flounder for us here at Ready Set Inc. And I even got to trade him one of the Ready Set Inc. embossed Flounder cards. A dream come true. This is the Brian Flounder card, and this is the Ryan Miller card, and this is the Steve Warner one, and this one has a little cheek freckle, and this one's Ready Set Inc. Hit the subscribe button. Over on the YouTubes, the Illumiteers did an interview with the winner of the Disney Lorcana Challenge Seattle, Luke Wonderland, who streams on Twitch and is part of Team Labyrinth 1 with his green steel. In this live stream, they talk about their playtesting with Zenulus and how Luke Wonderland probably wasn't even going to play green steel, but then he did. If you like knowing how the top Illumiteers play the game, definitely watch this video so you can learn more about Team Labyrinth and the inner workings. Still on YouTube, I want to highlight the Ink Thieves Innovation Alley series. Ink Thieves is also a team, and they seem to be putting out weekly content called Innovation Alley, talking about spicy decks that maybe you want to know about, and it's headed up by Talman Purple, who's also a streamer on Twitch. Talman Purple is a spicy deck brewer, and I highly recommend subscribing to Ink Thieves on YouTube to learn more about the spicy decks. The last thing on YouTube that we want to talk about is this channel right here. It's the Japanese Lorcana content creators YouTube channel that I found this week. If you remember playing the first chapter meta, go ahead and look at these videos because that's what they're playing. They're playing all the best lists from the first chapter. If you didn't know, Lorcana comes out in Japan in January of 2025. If you're interested in following the Lorcana Japanese community, I think this might be a good place to start. Over on the Reddit, let's talk about this meta share of the DLC Seattle. 21% of people played Ruby Sapphire. 18% of people played Emerald Steel. But over here, you'll see Amber Emerald was played 3% of the time. And that's kind of weird because I got paired against Amber Emerald my first 2 matches, both of which I tied. I ended up getting 1 win, 2 losses, and 6 ties. I ended up placing 1,208 out of 1,893 different players. To our next Reddit post that we're going to talk about, it says, can you choose not to ready a character at the start of your turn? You might be wondering the same thing, but this Reddit post is going to answer the question for us. It says, I forgot to ready my character before drawing, and my opponent said I could no longer ready my character. This got me thinking, forgot to ready my Jafar, striking illusionist. Would I gain Lord during my draw step because he is exerted? Would this allow the trigger off Queen's Castle? This would not allow him to sing, quest, or attack that turn, but theoretically be better than leave him tapped at the start. If this is not allowed, then a player must ready their character, and I should have been able to ready mine even after drawing to keep the game state honest, right? And I think this comment from the Ideal Desperate answers it best. It says, can you choose to not ready a character at the start of your turn? No. The answer is no. You can't choose to do that. My opponent says I could no longer ready my character. This is called lying or cheating. But if you ever have a question, raise your hand and call a judge. Remember, you're never guaranteed to go back through a full rewind if more information has been gained. But most likely a cheating investigation will happen if you do this, because it's just a little bit too convenient to not ready your Jafar striking illusionist. The last post on Reddit is right here, and it's another card alter. I know everyone is excited about the leaks, but I wanted to share a few spooky Lorcana alters I've done this month. Check it out. That's Pooh, but he's wearing a little pumpkin hat. This is Mickey, but he's kind of smiling funny. And this is Amethyst Chromacon, but it's a big old bag of candy. Halloween might be tomorrow, but today's a very special day. It's Kenny's birthday from Ready Set Inc. Can we get a happy birthday, Kenny, in the chat? Kenny is the other half of Ready Set Inc. He does most of the research for Lorcana Alert, And I couldn't ask for a better Lorcana content creator partner. Remember, it's not about getting 1,200 plates at a DLC. It's about the friends you make along the way. Happy birthday, Kenny. On Facebook, we've gotta talk about the crazy interactions with this new card that was revealed called Transport Pod. It says, for 1 ink, you play down this item, and it says, give them a show at the start of your turn. You may move a character of yours to a location for free. So why would this be a problem? Why would this be a confusing card? Because you want to do stuff at the start of your turn that would trigger effects like the Queen's Castle that says at the start of your turn, for each character you have here, you may draw a card. So what would go first? The Transport Pod or Queen's Castle? If we look at the comprehensive rules document, we can see that there's a beginning phase, and the beginning phase has the phases ready, set, and draw in it, in that order. Beginning phase, effects that would end at the start of your turn and at the start of your next turn end. The active player readies all their cards. On to 4.2.2. The set, characters that are no longer drawing will be allowed to quest, challenge, or exert to use activated abilities this turn. The active player gains lore from locations with a lore characteristic that they have in play. Effects that would occur at the start of your turn or at the beginning of your turn and abilities that trigger during the ready step are added to the bag. Check it out. We're going to be camping on this one right here that says 4.2.2.3 because this is where it gets interesting. First, we gain the lore from the Queen's Castle if we have it on board. We get 2 lore from it. And then we get 2 triggers that go in the bag. They are at the beginning of your turn abilities that are triggered during the ready step. And we have 2 of them. We have one from Transport Pod and we have one from using the mirror on the Queen's Castle. It's up to the active player how they want to resolve the triggers in the bag. And I like it how it's written from Jordan Buchholz right here. It says 1, castle with character fully resolves, resulting in 2 lore, and the player draws a card. Number 2, the pod triggers next, moving cards to the second castle. Pod is now fully resolved. Second castle fully resolves, resulting in +2 lore and card. Super cool, but a ton of setup. Googly Glimmer says, no secondary shenanigans here. You can always order it to be able to get the additional draw. So castle goes into the bag. As 1 trigger, you choose a number to draw. So if I have 5 characters there, it's not a draw 1. Make a decision, draw next. Interesting. I don't think I've ever played it correct. One saying that the check for start of turn only happens once. And that makes sense. The game state check happens after everything, but game state check isn't what is in effect here. What's in effect is the start of turn check. It's an interesting thing for sure. Tell me if you're more confused now or confused then. Also on Facebook is this post right here by Brittany Smith. Says, got to be one of the sickest playmats I've seen so far. The foil Along Came Zeus mat. Check it out. The lightning bolts are foiled. This looks like to be a custom playmat. And it looks like they've even made a holographic version. The fan playmats are off the chain. And judging by the 517 likes on this post, everybody loves this playmat. Foil on mats, yes please. The last thing on Facebook that we're going to talk about is this post by an anonymous participant. Maybe the person that the post is from says, some mad lad just bought over 100 cold foil Friend Like Me's. Friend Like Me is a 5-cost inkable song that says each player puts the top 3 cards of their deck into their inkwell, face down and exerted. What mad lad would buy 100 of these? And we can see here that the data is correct. That if we look at this date, over 100 have been bought in this date range. This seems to happen after the reveal of the Basil card. The Basil card says during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may pay 1 ink to have chosen opponent choose and discard a card. So if you have a shifted Basil and sing Friend Like Me with him, you have to pay 3 ink and then your opponent would have to discard 3 cards. Incredible value. And you get to ramp 3 ink, which is incredible value. What do you think? Is this person just a big fan of Genie? Or is something more sinister going on? Over on Twitter is where we got the news that the closest thing to Michael Jordan's flu game has happened. That's right. Zan Syed says this is the hardest tournament I've ever played. food poisoning, and an 0-2 had me in a tough spot at the DLC Seattle, but I embraced the fight, focused on one game at a time to get 4 consecutive wins, and clawed my way into top 64. In Lorcana, as in life, perseverance can turn the tide. Never surrender. This is just like what Michael Jordan did. There's no closer thing that we have to it in Lorcana. This is our sport. And Zan Syed is the GOAT. He ended up getting 30th, which is still a huge accomplishment. Congratulations to Zan Syed. Also on Twitter is where we found this crazy deck list. The Illumiteers posted it. This person got into day 2. But something's wacky about this list. They have 28 locations. That's right. Almost half of the deck is locations. And the spiciest card is this Fix-It Felix Jr. right here. It says your locations get +2 willpower. So if you have all 4 Fix-It Felix in place, your Pride Lands would have 13 willpower. Good luck trying to take out a location with 13 willpower. That would take 3 Along Came Zeuses. That would take 7 Babooms. That would take all the wind out of your sails. This is definitely the deck that I'm bringing to locals this week. Watch out, fam. Also on Twitter is where we saw the reveal of the Basil card that we just talked about a little bit ago. But this person has a different wombo combo. Turn 1, you played the 1-drop Sapphire Basil. It's a 2-1 that gives support. Then on turn 2, you play Tipo and you can ramp a bit. Do your thing. Then on turn 3, boom, shift Basil and sing How Far I'll Go. That's going to be able to put 2 ink into your inkwell. You pay 2 extra ink, and then boom, your opponent has to discard 2 cards. And by that time, they're probably at no cards. It's the wombo combo for sure. And I'm excited to get my paws on this Basil. It's only an uncommon card, which is peculiar because it looks like it's pretty cracked. For our meta report segment, you can go to dreamborn.inc, go to events, and click on the Disney Lorcana Challenge Seattle, where you can see all of the decks that got into top 64, including here at number 18, Zan Syed. And most impressively, number 36, Alvaro, with the 28 location deck right here for a total of $53. Got into day 2. We haven't seen anything like that. Most all these decks are going to be over $100, but that deck at $53 is definitely the cheapest way to get in to the top 64 day 2. Check out Seed 64. It costs $450, but playing a $50 deck, ooh, that's where it's at, dude. This is Zan's list from Vegas. This is the deck that I played. I should have played locations. For our Market Watch segment, we want to highlight Lorcana Goons. If you want more in-depth Market Watch, please go watch Lorcana Goons. Kevin is always super nice, and I got to see him at the Disney Lorcana Challenge Seattle. We just want to highlight the friend like me. It's popping off. Someone bought all the foils. It used to be 45 cents. Now it's $1. Do you get it now or do you never get them at all? It's a good card. It really is. Let me know how the Transport Pod and Queen's Castle works in the comments section. If you have any Lorcana alerts that you want me to know about, email me at lorcana707@gmail.com. Ready, Set Inc. is now over 1,093 subscribers.